I started a real estate video podcast when I was no one in the industry. I'd only flipped one house at the time, but what happened in the next 365 days absolutely changed my life. So let me take you back to July of 2019. I was just getting ready to start my video podcast. I had only flipped one house. I had just gotten into real estate in January of 2019. So literally 6 months into this thing, all of these self-limiting beliefs came into my mind of who am I? Am I good enough? I don't know anyone. People are gonna laugh at me. People are gonna think that this is a joke. People are gonna be like, why is this guy trying to be an expert? And here's the thing, I didn't try to do any of those things. And I think that's what gave me a really big peace of mind in all this, that the reason that I was starting a video podcast, and maybe you're here today and you're wondering, well, should I start a video podcast? And the answer to that is yes, because I didn't try to position myself as the expert. I positioned myself as the person learning in the process. I wanted people to follow my journey. I wanted people to understand that I was new, that I was understanding this, that I was still learning through this entire experience. But the reason I started this, and this is the key thing, I started it because I just wanted to meet really cool people that usually wouldn't give me their time if I just said, hey, can I steal a minute of your time? Or, hey, can I pick your brain? Ugh, I still to this day hate that phrase. I didn't want to be that guy. So the only way to really not be that guy and to not be like, hey, can I pick your brain, is to say, hey, can you come on my podcast? I would love to invite you to tell your story and to give value to my audience. This is a cool tip that I learned from my good friend Travis Chappell. Shout out to Travis, who has a huge following, by the way. And he basically said, if you want to transform yourself into these people that you aspire to become, then just invite them onto your podcast, because you're bringing value to them alongside with actually just getting free time with them and literally picking their brain. Ugh. But what I also knew when I started this was that the indirect benefit was I was possibly gonna start creating an audience. As people listened and saw me with these experts, they would start to associate me with experts. They wouldn't necessarily see me as the expert, that they would say, hey, this guy has connections with experts, so for that reason, he probably knows more than I do. All this was just pretty much in my head and where I thought it might go, and I had no idea if it was gonna be successful, because I had had failed businesses. I had been in multi-level marketing companies where like I was in the top 0.5% of that company, but I was still only making like $3,000 to $5,000 a month. I tried sales jobs. I was a sports anchor right out of college, making $18,500 a year. I had done everything. And the most I'd ever made in a year was $75,000. So for me to look at this and say, okay, I finally found something in real estate that I know is going to help me be successful, I wanted to accelerate that. I didn't really look at it and say, oh, I really want to have an online coaching business one day, but I knew that that was potentially possible if I did this the right way. But again, forefront was, I just want to learn. I want to learn faster. I want to go fast, like Ricky Bobby would say. I want to go fast. And I just knew that if I associated myself with these high-level people, it would just automatically raise my ceiling. But what happened in the next 12 months was nothing short of a miracle. So let me take you through that journey. Month one, it was ugly. I'm showing you some video right now. I had no beard, I had goofy hair. I was literally sitting on the floor of my parents' living room. The laptop was on the coffee table, and I couldn't find any good lighting. It was really bad. The podcast was called Fearless Flipping. I had a website, yeah, but it wasn't very attractive. I didn't have any sales funnels. I didn't have anything except for a YouTube channel, a podcast, and a website, and that was it. But I reached out to a ton of people, and I got a few yeses on people coming on and being a guest on my podcast. And the direct benefit that I was looking for, I gained a ton of experience from these people by interviewing them. What happened next though, for months 2 and 3, is that because I had high-level guests, I was able to attract more high-level guests. So then I had Rod Cleef, Jamil Damji, Brent Daniels, Michael Zuber. And this momentum started to happen where people were like, oh, those are top dogs in real estate, and they're on the Fearless Flipping podcast. So yes, I was learning from some of the best, which was great for my brain, but as I thought, this indirect benefit of people started associating me with the pros. And indirectly, they thought, oh, well then Kyle must know a lot. So right around month 4, that's when I started getting comfortable with sharing my story and my journey on some solo podcasts. I would tell people about some of the deals that I was doing. I was telling people about this flip and then about this buy and hold. And then this really funny thing happened. As I got my second deal and was getting ready to hold on to this as a long-term rental, I just shared with people that I was considering doing it as an Airbnb. And then a week later, I decided I was gonna do it as an Airbnb. And I told people about that. And then I took people through the transformation. I even documented it. I made a YouTube video out of it. And because I gave my audience an opportunity to engage with me, before I knew it, everyone was booking calls with me and asking, how did you set up that Airbnb? How are you making so much money? Tell me more about that. So I was having conversations with my audience. I still wasn't selling anything to them, but I just kept on asking them, what do you want to learn about? What do you want to know about? And that helped me to create what free form of content that I was making. And as I continued to learn more about my audience, I realized they all want to know about Airbnb. So I kept on pouring Airbnb information out. And by doing that, not only did I give my audience what they were looking for, but I created other opportunities. People started asking, hey, can you teach me? Or hey, can you do it for me? And so I started thinking like, could I create an offer done for you that I can help them buy the house, I can set it up, and I can create a team that would manage the property. And that's exactly what I did. I did that for about 4 or 5 people. And as soon as they got results, they started telling their friends, their doctor friends, their lawyer friends, their real estate friends, hey, you gotta get a property in Fresno, California, that's where I lived, and you gotta have Kyle do it as an Airbnb. I never saw that happening. But because of that, it started to increase my knowledge of the industry. I started doing more. I had now this management arm, this management branch within my business, and I started talking about that on my podcast. And then before you know it, other people were reaching out and saying, wait, so I don't have to own the property. I can do this without owning it. Can you teach me more about that? Because I just shared so much, it created this just snowball effect of people wanting to learn from me and people wanting to use my services. And that's what you would call an online real estate coaching offer. I invited 10 people to join a group coaching platform where I would basically give them all my time, all my effort, all my energy so that I could create a course that would eventually be evergreen. I charged each one of those people $2,500, which means that I made $25,000, and that all happened in the first week of me launching my online coaching offer. This just lifted the lid off everything that I believed that I was capable of. Going into 2019, before I started this podcast, before I started in real estate, I had not made over $75,000 in a year. And I just made $25,000 in 1 week. I mean, you talk about head in the clouds, starry-eyed, and just like this moment of like, wow, I didn't realize money could be this easy to get if you just had this abundance mindset and you just shared with people what you're doing. The first year we ended up doing $60,000 in gross sales for our coaching business. Year 2, $250,000, and then year 3, nearly $500,000, because I took a process that I was able to practice with basically a test group. I perfected it, and then I sold it to the universe, basically. I just went out there and I just marketed. So with that, I have 3 lessons that I learned from this. Number 1, I've already talked about it. You do not have to be the expert. You just have to have experts on your show. So if you're watching this right now and maybe you're like one of my clients who actually is really good at sales, but just hasn't done a ton of deals, but is in that prime time of his life where he's 24, 25 years old, and he's like, I'm about to set the world on fire. He's just sharing his story on social media, and people are asking like, hey, help me become a better salesperson. He's got some limiting mindsets in his mind about like, hey, I don't think I'm good enough. I haven't made 6 figures selling, but that's okay because he's sharing his journey and he's inviting professionals along the way to share their expertise as well. And he's associating himself with high-level people that are doing 7, 8 figures a year in the real estate space. Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi talk a lot about this. You're not the expert, you're the reporter. You're essentially bringing people in to interview them, to report on what they're saying. You can summarize what they're saying. It's not coming from your mouth, it's coming from theirs. But because you associate yourself with those people, people automatically start to see you as not necessarily the expert, but someone who's becoming the expert. The second lesson I learned is that if your intentions are genuine, then the money will come. Again, my intention in the beginning was I wanted to interview high-level people that would help me learn faster and that I could provide value to by having them on my podcast so that my audience would hear their story as well. And then lesson number 3 is don't be afraid to charge people for your time right away. The only reason that I actually started charging as early as I did is because I had a coach as well. I had someone who was literally telling me like, you know enough now to teach people how to do it. And I was like, you're crazy. I've only flipped one house. And they were like, no, you know enough. You have a platform, you have an audience, people are watching what you're doing, and you've already had success. Why not just go charge them? Don't charge them as if you're an expert, but charge them for your time. So I actually created a $3,000 offer right from the beginning, showing people how they could get their first deal, and I would work one-on-one with them. That's a really tough one to get over, and that's why I really recommend that you get yourself into a community that's going to help you get over those mindsets. We have a free one. It's on our Facebook group. It's called Coaches Helping Coaches for Real Estate Professionals, and I've actually got a link to it down below if you want to join our group. Get in that community right away, because that's going to be the biggest thing for helping you get over limiting mindsets. So why do I share all this with you? Well, now in my journey, I've actually sold that education business. I sold that management company for reasons that I'm not going to get into right now, but that was one of the best things at that time for my life, mainly just because I was becoming a dad. So there you go. I did just give you the reason. Anyway, as I kind of go into this next phase of life, I ask myself, what is missing from my life? What is something that I really want to help people with? And I realized that I just love coaching. I love helping people. And that's something that God blessed me with. And that's something that if I'm not doing that, then my soul isn't filled. And so that's why I started this YouTube channel, is to basically help people like you that are trying to get into online coaching, especially in real estate, so that you know all the pitfalls to avoid, all the direct steps that you need to take in order to launch and in order to make that thing evergreen, all the ways that you can foster your community, all the ways that you can attract new leads. That's everything that I am focusing this channel on. And that's what I want to help you with. So if that sounds like you, then I want you to watch this next video that's going to teach you how to launch your real estate coaching brand and make $250,000 per year.